Diriyah Gate, one of the most exciting tourism projects worldwide, located just outside of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And to help us learn more about this $50 billion giga project, we are delighted and privileged to welcome Julie Alexander. Welcome, Julie.
Hi there. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you? Are you in Riyadh at the moment, I guess?
Yes, I am here in the office in Diriyah.
Has become home for you?
Yes, that's right. So I've been here now just over 5 months. So yes, I moved from London direct to Riyadh and settling in.
And seriously, what an exciting project. I know a little bit about it, but I'm hoping to learn a lot more this afternoon. But what an exciting project.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, it's the reason that it's what caught my eye, really, when the project came up, and it's what convinced me to make the move. So, yeah, hopefully tell you a bit more about it.
Okay. Julie, I'm going to suggest that I read a couple of short paragraphs about you, because I think that will bring a lot of things into context and help people understand a lot more about the project itself. Your role, in a sense, underlines the unique aspects of the project. It sounds very like, okay?
Sounds good.
So here goes, just a couple of minutes. Julie Alexander has over 15 years experience in developing and delivering environmental sustainability strategies around the world. An experienced director of urban development and smart cities, Julie has previously been responsible for engaging with cities to showcase the role of infrastructure and integrated technological solutions in urban development. Julie's particular areas of specialism include strategic city planning for the built environment and integrated infrastructure, sustainability and energy master planning, and optimization of digitalized infrastructure. In her role as Smart Cities Director at the Diriyah Gate Development Authority, Julie is responsible for the implementation of Smart City Strategy at the $50.6 billion Saudi Arabia giga project of Diriyah, located on the outskirts of Riyadh. The authority is implementing social and economic initiatives that support the local community and economy, is preserving the cultural and historical sites critical to development, whilst ensuring the city has a low carbon footprint and reflects traditional architectural styles with the use of locally sourced materials. How was that for an introduction?
It's very good. It covers a lot. And actually, when I see things like that, I think, oh my goodness, are we really doing all that? It's just quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
Just, to reflect back sometimes.
Yes. I mean, quite a lot was you might say a little bit erudite, I suppose. A lot of technical and long words in there. But I hope that the essence of what we're talking about actually boils down to some fairly fundamental issues and fundamental aspects of the project that make it so incredibly exciting. And I hope that that's going to come out to some of the questions or some of the answers to the questions that I'm going to ask you now. Okay. So my first question then, Julie, is to say, tell us a bit about Diriyah as a destination and what makes it unique.
Sure. Well, Diriyah, it's just on the west of Riyadh, so it's almost like an urban extension, but one that is very unique. So we will have a number of different master plan areas, all with a slightly different theme. But ultimately, Diriyah is about culture and heritage and preservation of the past, whilst having both eyes to the future. So we're bringing back to life what was the House of Al Saud. This is where the Saudi kingdom, as we know it today, was born. And so there is a UNESCO heritage site at Diriyah. We are bringing that back to life, and the architecture that we use and will be using across the master plan is resembling the Najdi architecture style that was employed when Diriyah was built, actually. So we're building in mud bricks throughout the development. So we have set up our own mud brick factory manufacturing process to deliver all of our bricks that we're going to build in, which of course has great sustainability credentials. And what we're trying to deliver here, really the aspirations around a different experience, one that you can't currently get inside these. So there'll be all kinds of amazing offers in terms of hotel and tourism, but also F&B, food and beverage offers, so Michelin star-style restaurants, but having that set in the old world, old styles, heritage setting. So it should be a really nice experience for people. There will be a lot of Saudi culture built in, so there'll be facilities looking at things like falconry or calligraphy, Arabic dance, so really bringing back some of those historic jewels we call Diriyah, the jewel of the kingdom, and bringing back some of those historic stories through the facilities that we're building. So, I mean, our job is to make sure that's sustainable. And also from the smart cities point of view, to make sure it's fully connected and responding to the expectations of the population today.
Well, I know that the demands were initially instructed as far as the project was concerned, were very demanding as far as all of those aspects were concerned. And I think that makes it, so important, especially in today's world, if you know what I mean. And I mean, the historical implications are amazing, really, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's what makes it very unique. There's lots of giga projects in Saudi at the moment, all with a slightly different focus. So it may be things like the natural environment. We've got giga projects on the Red Sea, which is very much about marine biodiversity and so on. So it's nice that Diriyah has this theme of history and heritage and culture.
Yeah. So why is now the right time to visit Diriyah?
Well, I think it's a really interesting time because we are focusing on bringing in a new sector of tourism. But it's not, it's not as though we've got people flooding the development. It's a nice time to get that real experience of the Saudi culture as the development is beginning to just grow and evolve. We've also down the side of the development area, we've got a master plan that's part of Wadi Hanifa. So Wadi Hanifa is probably the most iconic wadi area in the whole of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And it runs right down and underneath our development, down this west side. And this is where we're going to be preserving, but also planting more palm trees. So it'll be an amazing green spine that will run right through the development. And you can see that currently in its sort of original state, and you can see the transition beginning to happen. We've got some assets now that are opening. Down just adjacent to Wadi Hanifa, right next to At-Tarif, so you can experience the UNESCO World Heritage Site and also the Wadi. So I think it's a great time. It's, as I say, I think it's going to become a very popular tourist destination in a few years, but people are still not so familiar with it yet. So yeah, it's good to come and see it without the crowds.
Yes, absolutely. One of the key themes is the smart city aspect. That's one of the key aspects of your role there as well. Tell us a bit more about what that actually means and what impact that has on tourism.
And what it means for us, this is multiple things. It's really all about providing an efficient city system, so ensuring all the services we're delivering, whether that's transportation, whether it's building operations, access, security, all of those things are completely seamless from the point of view of both city operators and the users. And I think for visitors to Diriyah, I mean, obviously the smart city is there for residents, for the students that will be studying here, for the people that will work here, but also for the visitors. So what we want to offer the tourists that come is not only that seamless experience, everything that you can access on your phone or online, but also things like ticketing becomes very easy. When you go into the museums, of which there are a number, all with their different themes, we are looking at developing unique experiences there, which have a smart city component to them, i.e. the use of technology through mixed realities, which we will curate as you would curate a museum. So as those museums develop, so will the exhibits and the stories and the digital solutions to help bring some of those exhibits to life. So yeah, digital and connectivity really is at the core of what we're trying to deliver, but we do want it to be subtle. I mean, given that what we're doing is representing at Diriyah, a site that was built 300 years ago. We want the technology to feel very subtle. We don't want people to come in and suddenly they're faced with all this sort of new technology in a very explicit way. We want it to be quite
friendly.
Yeah, exactly that. But also not something that feels too obvious. This is not a development that's all about new technology. It's there, it's in the background, it's doing what it needs to do, but it shouldn't be the first thing you see when you visit.
And of course, all that is very allied to the whole question of sustainability. So tell us a little bit more about how sustainability will be, essential element of the project.
So there's a number of things that we're trying to do. So we have embedded the certification processes into the development. So we've got LEED certification, we've got Mustang certification, which is the local building certification. So that's there to ensure that as we're building, we're guiding some of those design principles. Beyond that, we have built in a number of different requirements into the design and into the wider master plan. Those include things like reducing energy consumption by over 30% across development. They include things like allowing for electric vehicle charging. We've got a huge program of tree planting with natural species, part of the wider Saudi Green Initiative. And we've got things that are very much local to the individual assets that they're happening. So there'll be all kinds of things from using recycled water for irrigation where that's required. We've got all kinds of things happening in buildings to limit our impact. And this is all about limiting the impact while providing that great user experience that we're after. We're guided by Vision 2030 and the Saudi Green Initiative. Yep. And we are currently pulling together a wider framework that will allow us to, I suppose, publicise some more of those initiatives that we're employing at Diriyah. But essentially, what we're trying to do is ensure that we have a huge theme around preservation, preserving the wadi itself. It's a natural feature and it's a key feature for this region. It's something that's easily eroded, easily damaged just through weather and through construction activities. And what we want to do is ensure that that natural feature is something that is not only retained because they're very beautiful when they're in their natural state, but also something that can function. The wadi has a natural function, and it's not something that we want to damage as part of this process. The wadi should be retained, preserved, and enhanced. And our development should sit very neatly around the wadi and its features. So there's a huge focus for us on that environmental protection piece as we're going through our construction.
Yeah. Well, it's quite something, isn't it? It really is.
It is, and it's changing the way we do things. I mean, in Saudi, these Google projects are really going to change the infrastructure. They're going to change so many aspects. We're already working with the waste authorities here to introduce a whole new process around recycling, limiting waste to landfill, all those sorts of things, these are systems that weren't there previously or were just nascent. And now that we have this huge demand through the Giga projects, and particularly Diriyah being next to Riyadh, we can work with the waste authorities and help them understand, what kind of support do we need to be able to deliver a sustainable development. So what we expect to see in the coming years is new ways of dealing with waste, additional recycling streams, additional processes that will allow us to deliver more sustainably, and also our supply chain. Because at the moment, as we are procuring materials, engaging in new contracts, they need that infrastructure there to deliver what we're asking them to deliver, whether that's recycling or just undertaking processes differently. They need to know that there's a system that's behind that will allow them to do it. So it's working with multiple stakeholders at every level, really.
Yeah. So tell me about any other smart cities that you have looked at and perhaps got any ideas from. Is that something you can talk about?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think, certainly from my background in history and working in cities all around the world, there's something that you can always take from different cities. I mean, Singapore is obviously a great example of how they manage the city from a municipal standpoint, so how they gather data, what they do with the data to optimize their decision-making processes, both in smart cities and in sustainability, actually. And Singapore has a huge water resource problem, so they use land use data to work out how they're actually going to deliver their water demands. There's a lot to be learned from some of those use cases that have gone before. You can look at cities like London, which we have done, to inform our transport and traffic management strategies. They have one of the most sophisticated traffic management systems in the world, and we're certainly using elements of that to understand how we're going to manage traffic around our site, whether that's cars, lorries, how we're going to do the suitable sort of screening that we'll need from a security standpoint. So yeah, I mean, we're picking things that we can, and some things, of course, are unique. This is a city that we're building from scratch, so it's not like we're retrofitting. So we have an opportunity there to build things in the way that you don't have in a London or a Singapore or a Berlin. And that brings advantages and disadvantages. I mean, obviously you can start from scratch, you can build everything from the ground up. But when other cities are looking at their sort of smart city challenges, they start first with a problem. So we don't have that problem yet because the city is not being built. So we're having to preempt, what the challenges might be. And that's where you learn from other cities that have gone through a development process. So we definitely do that. But I think, this is also an opportunity for us to embed new and emerging technologies that maybe other cities haven't been able to do. So, for instance, we're looking at having an integrated IoT platform that will merge multiple use cases, whether that's traffic, security, lighting, environmental protection, all of those things coming into one single platform. And that's really only happening currently in the Middle East, where the new cities are being built. And what that then allows us to do is to develop a corresponding digital twin that sits across all of those different use cases. So, you can go to London, you can see a magnificent digital version of the city's transport system, focusing just on transport, run just by Transport for London, very much as a sort of organizational toolkit. For us, this will be a toolkit that sits at the municipal level, straddling all of those different city operational services. So we've got an opportunity to really do some interesting simulations. We will have an event, which there will be many, royal event perhaps, and we can simulate things like crowd control, how that integrates with the security, how it integrates with traffic management, street lighting, waste, or street cleaning, waste collection. all those kind of things. We can simulate that through our platform and understand how we're going to run the city more efficiently. So it's not something that's so easy to do when you're an established city, because you've got legacy systems that are not all digitally connected. So you don't have that sort of seamless integration. So that's something that we're really looking to do. That's the ultimate objective, really, is to get all of these systems integrated to the point where you can't see the dividing line between them all.
Yeah.
So that's the vision, that's the ambition. So it's early days.
Yes. Yes, I was going to ask. My next question was going to be to ask you what's Diriyah apart from any other destinations. I think a lot of what you've just been talking about actually covers that. But are you able to pinpoint one or two things that you think sets it apart?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, from the sustainability standpoint, and also I guess from smart cities, there's the new giga projects in Saudi. None of them are urban centres in the way that Diriyah is. So, we right on the west of the boundary of Riyadh city, and it's a significant size, and it will be operating like a normal city as you and I would know it. Some of the other projects, whether that's the Red Sea or Alula, are very much about tourist destinations with beautiful natural features around. They're not urban centres in the same way. They're not going to have all the commercial elements that we will have. So delivering this city in the desert effectively as an urban centre with all these modern day systems is actually quite unique. And doing it with the natural materials, as I mentioned, the mud bricks as well, trying to bring back to life some old techniques in construction is also something that's unique to Diriyah. From the smart cities perspective, I think all of the giga projects are doing are taking an approach to smart cities, but they're all bespoke to the developments themselves. So what they will integrate by way of services or solutions will be and should be appropriate to their own development. So ours will be run very much like a municipality, and we are part of Diriyah, if you like, we're a sort of local authority area, but it's part of a much wider municipality area. So 190 square kilometres, and we're, if you like, one borough in London state. So it's what part of our challenge is, how do we integrate the local community that sits around us, and how do we connect our services into theirs, which again makes us different from other cities which are kind of rising up out of the coastal systems or more natural features within the wider landscape. This really is an urban-based project with all the challenges that come with that. So I think that's what makes us different from the other giga projects.
Okay. Are there any other projects like?
Sorry, say again.
I'm just wondering if there are any other sort of exciting projects that are coming on stream.
You mean within Diriyah or Saudi more broadly, or?
Well, I suppose I mean your responsibility is specifically for Diriyah, of course, but we have Alula, of course, and we have Neom, and just was wondering if there's any other sort of broader comments to make about the development of these projects, especially in the smart city context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think all the projects are amazing. I mean, Neom is very much about future cities and very much the technology focus. The Red Sea is an amazing project as well, which is very much about coastal regeneration, coastal preservation, lots of islands there. So it's a very different user experience. Similarly, Alula has just got a lot of its own heritage, but not the same urban angle that we have. So I'm very excited to see all of them coming through, actually. I think there's amazing work that's going on in the kingdom. And actually, when it comes to smart cities particularly, this is the one place in the world that is really investing at scale. I mean, there are other cities around the world, whether that's in the Americas or in Europe or in Asia, who are all doing amazing things, project by project or system by system, very much in vertical infrastructure solutions. So they might be looking at traffic, or they might be looking at, how they use data, or they might be looking at things like data ethics and all of those things as individual projects, and they're all great. But if you want to see a smart city evolving from the ground up with all the systems integrated, then the one place that's happening in the world is in Saudi. There have been recent examples in Qatar, for instance, where they have done some really good work at smaller scale than Saudi, so more, not quite local neighborhood, but perhaps district level smart city projects. But at city scale, really the only place you're going to find this kind of work at the moment is in Saudi, which makes it hugely exciting and a huge commitment actually right from the top. The chairman of our organization is His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, and so the direction we're getting really comes from the top. The investment, Vision 2030, the Saudi Green Initiative, is absolutely a diktat for us. So this is not a nice to have. It's a must have in other projects, which you don't get everywhere else. It's usually something that's led by a local mayor, and they have to allocate, quite a narrow budget year on year to deliver individual projects. That's not the case here. This all has to be absolutely integrated from day one, which is what makes it really exciting. It gives me a mandate internally to ensure that all of our designs are compliant. It gives me a mandate to go to the top and say, this is the latest thinking, this is the latest approach, here's how we're going to achieve the requirements of Vision 2030. And that's something that is very difficult to find in the projects. Normally you're battling to get things introduced or integrated, and we just don't have that challenge.
Well, I think that's a really great place for us to say thank you very much, Julie. It's been a real pleasure. It's been very illuminating, very interesting, and very exciting. And really look forward to seeing it developing further.
Thanks so much for your time. Perhaps we can have this conversation again in a year's time, and we can maybe have some more images to show you the great things that have been going on.
Let's do that. Let's do it. Okay.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.